Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Manic Miners. We could do some custom levels, which are challenging and unknown and scary. Or we could do Drill Night in the Remastered campaign, which is much less scary. And given that I am ever so slightly knackered, at least that's the excuse I'm using for being an utter yellow-bellied, lily-livered coward, we're going to do this now. So, yes, so we shall start the Remastered campaign today, I suppose, and goodness only knows how long it's going to take us to get all the way to the end. Took longer than expected to get to the end of Basmod, and it'll probably take longer to get to the end of this, because we might stop every now and again for a little break when we fancy doing some more custom levels. But anyway, let us get on
Driller Night
with this.
The transporter aboard the LMS Explorer has been slightly damaged due to low power and is not working properly. A team of rock raiders has been teleported into the wrong cavern, and they need to find their way back to the tool store. Drill through the cavern walls, and once you've found it, start our mining operation by collecting 5 energy crystals.
Okay. To aid in exploration of the area, your rock raiders have been equipped with hover scouts, which can easily scout the area using its leap functionality. Marvellous! So, I was going to say full disclaimer. No, I'm not going to say that, because that's a phrase that people say on this website, which I can't stand for reasons I'm not entirely sure of. Anyway, for context, a long time ago, probably long before we did Basmod, I did play through Driller Night of oh, look at me with my little hat on, except you can barely frickin' see me, which is probably for the best, but we went around. Yeah, I played through Driller Night once just to give me an idea of what the remaster campaign would look like, so I remember some details, but not all. But otherwise, I have no idea what the remaster campaign has in store. Your hover scout can leap over small gaps. Try selecting your hover scout, clicking on the arrow's location, and then double-clicking the vehicle will force it to leap wherever you click, if possible. Right, okay, so you go there, and then go there. Marvellous, tremendous. Okay, do I actually need to arrange myself at the edge, or will it okay, so I do need to be at the edge for it to jump? Yeah, I do. Okay, right, so it won't just like pathfind its way there without actually being close enough in the first place. Okay, right, well that makes some semblance of sense then, doesn't it? Right, if the peer of you would like to get out of there and not drill through that, because I just realised that's hard rock, which is going to be a little teeny tiny bit of a pickle for us to get through, but never mind. You might as well help. I can't be the only person doing stuff around here, despite the fact that I've been the only person doing stuff around here for 5 years. We won't worry about that. We'll just carry on with our lives. Ooh, blimey. Don't remember this. This is interesting. Yes, I'm very curious to find out what the remaster campaign has in store, because of course Basmod has been around since about, oh gosh, I looked it up ages ago. I want to say 2009, which A, seems like a very long time ago, and B, is still 10 years later than the game. So comparatively speaking, I suppose it's still quite late in the game's life. But of course this, at least according to the best of my knowledge, hooray!
Now collect 5 energy.
10, in fact. Yes, I shall do that. Right, should we just reunite our people before they all fall on their bums in a pile of dynamite, and then they fart with a spark, and that sets a fuse off, and then the whole world is blown to bits. Before that happens, let's reunite our people. So, I said, Sparks, in your infinite intellectualism, I said, let's reunite our people. Lovely. Now, let's carry on with life. I don't know where the designs in the remaster campaign come from. I don't know if they've all been baked up by that. I really need to, sort that out. It was funny for a while, but now it just looks a bit daft. But, hey-ho. I don't know where the designs came from. I would assume that they were just dreamt up by the developer of Manic Miners, really. So I shall be very curious to see what they have in store. I have heard various bits and bobs that it makes you sort of change the way that you play the game, invoke different tactics probably, and try to sort of reimagine how things might have been. Hopefully to take more advantage of the sort of mechanics which Manic Miners can now afford us, which would be lovely. Yes, indeed. I like how they sort of move the little messages along, because previously, of course, that would have come up at crystal number 3, and it's coming up at crystal number 5. Although, strictly speaking, I suppose it should come up at crystal number 6, because 5 isn't more than halfway there, is it? Wonder if that's there specifically so that I go back and get the hover scout rather than just leaving the damn thing. Likewise with this, which I think is precisely what is going on. So what I'm going to do is upgrade that, I think, because we need to get a bit of dynamite, don't we? Which I can't get yet because we need to upgrade it again. Now, let's bring him over here. We start drilling out in this sort of direction. We should be able to get across there, and then this here might potentially link up to a pathway behind here. So that seems vaguely promising. Okay, so you can just sort of click and it will go. What happens if I'm a bit further away and I double click and tell him to go there? Nothing. Okay, so so that is specifically for jumping, and they will only jump as far as they can. They won't drive and then jump in order to finish it. Okay, interesting. Not massively relevant, but vaguely interesting. But this also gives me the opportunity to confirm that these little whatchamajiggers are indeed black and not grey, as I thought they were when we were playing that custom level last time. Right, let's upgrade that. Let's not upgrade the bit of floor underneath it, because frankly bits of floors that have buildings on top of them don't hugely matter, if you don't mind me being a little callous towards various bits of concrete. I was going to say, how am I going to get these crystals back? The obvious answer is to wait until we break a path through here. The slightly sneakier option, which I vaguely recall being a thing that you can do, is that you can actually carry a resource while you're in this thing, which is certainly a cute idea. Let's see if we can do that. Huzzah! Oh look, I'm balancing it on the whatever the hell you call that piece. Right, okay, let's just turn this around. There you go. Line myself up with the proper azimuth. Boing! Marvellous! I've brought my little crystal home. Look at me, helping out. Can I run over spiders in this? No, I can't. I guess because it hovers, doesn't it, instead of walking. Right, and I have brought it back with me, and I can pop it in there. Huzzah! Look at me being helpful and achieving things, by which I mean being enormously inefficient, because that would have gone much faster if they just let me do it for themselves. But, you know, here we are. Okay, right. Drill through that. In the meantime, start drilling through here and blowing up a little bit more in this direction. We might as well get somebody else in a little hover scout, not a little truck, as much as I keep saying that. There you go. Go there as well. Yes, I haven't had a look on the old map yet, but this might reveal some interesting information. Okay, so there's a cavern back there, as we can now see. Anything interesting here? Not really, no. That was a massive waste of everybody's time, wasn't it? Tremendous. No surprises then that I was involved in the plan. Okay, so if we break through here, that will bring everybody back together. How romantic. And then we can have a look over here. Oh, that's not my sparks. Interesting. Oh no, of course, that's just. No, that's my sparks. Yes, good. We've got the Sparky twins over here. Tremendous. By which I mean tremendously confusing, but all right. Okay, good. That's broken us through that. In fairness, I would have. Oh, I suppose there's these ones over here as well. Phil, could you get your priorities in order? And that has nothing to do with any financial decision making. I'm just talking about bringing the crystals home prior to those these little Maltesers scattered around. Right, let's get you across here. Start drilling through some of these bits. I would have expected that that we would have already found 10 crystals by now, although saying that, yes, we have found 10 crystals, but I was going to, well, on the one hand I would have thought that you'd find the crystals on this level relatively quickly, because Driller Knight is a, some might say, problematically fast level, in the sense that you just drill through a few walls and fall over a few spiders, think about a few sandwiches, and then the mission's over within the space of a couple of minutes, which is a bit of a shame. So I suppose on the one hand they might wish to do something vaguely similar. Yes, indeed. By keeping the level quite quick. But then, of course, the whole point of the remastered campaign is to make better use of the levels, but then at the same time, probably one of the most universally adored features. That's weird, I've never heard that before. I've never heard that mission before. Not that, honestly. I wish to play... Oh, yes. Here we are. This is what I remember. I don't remember it being exactly here, and I'd also completely forgotten about it by the time we started. Getting into the level properly. But my goodness, I like the slight shininess on them. That gives them a very slimy complexion. It's fascinating to actually just look at them and study them without without trying to viciously murder them very, very quickly. You know what they remind me of, oddly, is, I presume they're in other countries as well, there's a type of sweet in this country called Haribo, which often have like a green, or any colour really, brightly coloured sort of jelly bit on top, and then a kind of soft, squishy white bit on the bottom. It's a bit like a marshmallow, I suppose, would probably be the closest thing I can think of. And all of a sudden, I've just been reminded of that while looking at these little sneaky souls. Right. Anyway, moving on. Just in case I need to, don't eat a slimy slug, right? And I don't know if I'm telling you that or I'm telling me that. I don't know who I'm telling, but whoever needs to hear it, hear me when I say please don't eat those things, no matter how much they look like a sweet. Oh dear. Well, that's interesting. That means I have actually seen them sleeping before that. Was it taken for granted which we saw them sleeping, or I thought I saw them sleeping for the first time, and in reality it would seem I've seen them before. But no, I do remember there being a little island with a couple of slugs on, which I think is nice. That's a nice little touch, because it gives the initial impression that these slugs are passive, perhaps, and not something to be feared. Because, just looking at them, they don't inherently seem dangerous or scary or vicious, as opposed to something which is called a rock monster, has big red eyes, tries to eat things, and, well, in fairness, eating isn't, exclusive of monsters. One could say that most things eat, including me. So, maybe that just means that I'm a monster. I don't know. Oh no. Yeah, I think that sort of the monsters are set up to look scary and seem scary, and the slugs are a little bit less so, I think, which leads them in quite nicely to being portrayed as a little bit more benign. But then, of course, I'm sure we'll reach back to basics, or indeed earlier levels, if the remaster campaign so chooses to give me such an experience, where we will soon discover precisely how unbenign they are. I don't know what the opposite of the word benign is, but I'm probably wrong in thinking it's unbenign. But anyway. Okay, looks like we're about done over here. I've turned off the orc collation because it doesn't really serve much of a purpose right now. So we can drill out these few last little bits. Okay, and there's nothing behind. Oh, there is a little piece there that I missed. Let me send you to do that, Sparks. There we go. And then that should be, yeah, that should be about it. Yes, I rather like this as a little initial design. It introduces a few little simple mechanics, because of course the base game had its own little series of tutorials to try and teach you how things worked, and Manic Miners doesn't have that, I've just realised. So it would sort of make sense if the remastered campaign, as much as you probably wouldn't play the remastered campaign first, you would it would sort of make sense to bake a few little basic tutorials in, especially for things which aren't present in the original version of the game. Things like the leaping mechanics for the hover scouts, and likewise the granite grinder and anything else. So it would certainly make sense for them to incorporate little tutorials for that sort of thing, instead of people just sort of figuring out on their own as they sort of bumble their way through, as I did. But yes, I have lost my train of thought, but never mind. Tutorials, yes. I seem to remember reading, maybe in a changelog, or maybe just like a discussion post on the Discord server, that I think that was there originally a plan to have the tutorials put back in, but there was some problem with the scripting and they were too complicated. I can't remember. I don't remember. I only know what I know, and what I know is that we've got an incredibly overactive spider here who ate too many Haribo slimy slugs, is having a bit of a sugar rush, and has decided to do some impromptu breakdancing. I think that's quite marvellous in its own daft way, but to such an extent I'm not even going to send anybody to go and step on him. So I think that's about enough of all that. Don't you dare think about it, Sparks, you cheeky little soul.
Well done. You've got all 5 energy crystals. Mission complete.
Yeah, that was something else I was looking at before I get interrupted. There was a little message that came up, wasn't there, in the Chief's voice? There's a little message which came up and said something like, "Congratulations, or well done, you successfully collected all 5 energy crystals." That was definitely in Chief's voice, not like someone doing an impression of him, like like some of the other little bits of dialogue are. So that's curious, because I've never heard that before. I think I've said once before in like the 73 million hours of video that I've made on this wonderful daft game, is all of the little bits of audio, like,
Thriller Night.
are kind of baked into my brain from having played this game probably far too much over my entire life for the most part. So to hear the Chief say something which I've never heard before is very curious. I don't know if there's perhaps like unused audio files that were found in the game, or perhaps he was sort of supposed to say that at the end of a mission, but then because the mission just instantly ends, it never gets an opportunity to play it. I don't
Rubble trouble.
I don't know.
Okay, Rock Raider.
Let's play another level.
Begin the construction of Rock Raider HQ. We need a power station. Upgrade the tool store and build a section of power path next to it. Next, construct the teleport pad and upgrade it. Build another section of power path next to the teleport pad. When you've collected enough energy crystals and ore, construct the power station.
Right, I'm gonna
Be
stop doing that.
very careful, Rock Raider. The walls of the cavern are unstable and may need reinforcing.
Okay, interesting. Is this text different? This text seems a little bit different. It's connector path is next to the power path. You just built and upgrade the teleport pad, build another. Yes. I feel like that might be trying to explain how the power path mechanics work a tad better. Because, yeah, saying build a piece of power path next to the tool store doesn't doesn't actually tell you that you need the teleport pad to also be next to the power path, but I'm sure we've figured that all out by now. I hope you have, otherwise you've started at the wrong end of this playlist. Anyway, when you've collected enough energy crystals and ore, construct the power station. To ensure the power function, to be sure the power works as it should, you also need to construct 5 electric fences on the cavern floor, as well as powering the nearby docks. We don't know where the docks is located, so you'll have to do some exploring. Interesting. That's definitely not a thing that was there before. Otherwise, this looks mostly the same, other than this bit. This bit doesn't look familiar, but the rest of it all seems relatively on brand. So let's bring down a few people. In fact, let's not faff around. Let's just bring down a full 10 immediately. So there's a lot of hard rock here. That's a problem. Okay, we're gonna have to start. Okay, this is going to be a problem. I have to start reinforcing some walls. We're going to have 10 people, they might as well do something productive with their day. Okay, yes, here we are. If we drill through this, clear this rubble, that should give us plenty of ore to get started. And then once this is all reinforced, we can safely traverse this little valley here in order to access this area for additional ore once that has been sorted out. Might need to invest in a canteen. A canteen, indeed. I need a canteen because. Do you need the Oh no, you need a level 2 tool store for that. Sorry, I thought the silhouette was of the teleport pad for a moment there, and I got confused because I'm 95% sure that I built it without a teleport pad before, which makes sense given that you don't actually need one. So that's fine. That's just me being daft, as per the usual. Right. What do I want to do? I want to get this away from here, ideally, because blowing up these pieces might cause some severe damage. So that's not going to be fun on a Christmas bun, is it? But then if I upgrade it first and then start blowing stuff up and then beam it up, I'm going to waste a bit of ore, aren't I? Which isn't a massive problem, but let's upgrade it. Let's blow some stuff up. If it does damage, we'll just repair that before we do any more demolition. And if it blows it up completely, then we'll just have to live with that fact. We'll just have to live with the fact that I am a addict of destruction. Okay, that's safe enough. That's marvellous. Oh gosh. This is a lot bigger. The other thing I've just realised is it's been a very long time, over a year? Probably over a year, since we did the Basmod versions of these levels, because of course, you know, with the linearity of the campaign, these levels were done a long time ago. So the problem is that I have no memory whatsoever of whether this is similar to the Basmod layout and sort of construction of the level, or whether in fact it is completely different. Marvellous. I know this is all very dangerous and all, but could you thank me for being a gentleman and putting myself in the line of fire rather than allowing one of my colleagues to do that, but at the same time I'm not entirely sure I trust myself. What more could I expect from an addict of destruction, or whatever the hell it was I called myself a moment ago? Right, okay, that's given us a little bit more space to work with. I don't really want to blow these bits up until there's a bit less foot traffic going through here. But once we, although saying that, we've ended up in precisely the same situation here. But never mind. Let's begin a little construction work. I think that should draw people away from this area. So, oh, yeah, that's not really going to work anywhere else. It's not really going to work no place, is it? No, that would, no. No, that... Yeah, I mean, not really. Yeah, I kind of regret putting that there. I was thinking we could put the teleport pad sort of there, and then put the power station there, and there. But then that would actually have the power station being the wrong way round, wouldn't it? Because the longer part would have to be there. Oh, I suppose we could put the teleport pad there, and then put the power station there. Yes, that would probably be the tidiest way of doing things, as much as it wouldn't be it wouldn't be perfect. But then again, nothing on this earth is perfect, and everything on this earth which has ever had me even tangentially involved now has been extremely far away from perfect. So frankly, what did you expect? Okay, well, now people can get sandwiches, so they're not going to get as fatigued, and they are going to be able to recover from landslides. So isn't that just tremendous? It's not even a word, I don't think. Okay. I'm sorry. It's been a long life. I'm hopefully only about a third of the way through it, but it's been a long life. So forgive me. Let's upgrade this, and oh, that's interesting. I don't know if I've seen that before. I like that the sort of, I don't know what you call that, foundational plinth. I'm going to coin a phrase for no particularly good reason. Yeah, I like how it sort of, it seems a lot deeper than it used to be, because the buildings, when they were built on this sort of sloped tile before, would somehow sort of dig themselves into the ground a little bit, or indeed flatten the earth underneath it. So it's nice to see a sort of a little platform be raised out of the ground, so that you've got a nice level bit of terrain there that you can actually construct on. That's nice. That's cute. I like that. I don't like the fact that I'm going to blow my teleport pad to bits in a minute, but I guess we're just going to have to try and wait and see what happens, and more specifically how much pain this causes. Okay, we've run out of crystals. That's not marvelous. Can I get you lot to all just not stand over here for the minute? No, stop it. Come here, you bunch of silly gooses. Okay, that is positively sensible because it moves the that further away. Okay, that's good. I like that. Okay, let's see if I can recreate that, because I can drop stuff using this, which is a thing I don't use frightfully often. Here we go. Right, if you give me this, which is F, I don't want to prime the blasted thing.
You constructed a power station.
Oh, marvelous. Right. Let's put this down with F. There we are, and then prime it with E, and then run the heck away. That failed completely and utterly. Brilliant. There I repeat myself, but I get involved and suddenly nothing works. So try that again. The only reason I wanted to do it was because I was afraid that they put it there and it would cause damage, because it would be closer, but it seemed like when dogs put it over here, then it was, you know what I need to do? I need to learn to trust my team and to delegate, because they're clearly entirely capable of doing what I need them to do using their own common sense. Right. Presumably that means we found a crystal over here, and I didn't notice because I was too busy fumbling completely. But never mind. I like the idea of actually needing to use the power station, because it does seem a little daft to simply build a power station and then just beam it all up and leave immediately, rather than doing something a little bit more pragmatic, like actually beaming it down and using it for something. And it's nice to have an introduction on the electric fence, because I don't remember that. I don't remember that from the base game, there being any kind of an introduction or an idea about how the electric fence really works. I think there's a tutorial called Defending Rock Raider HQ, which probably teaches you about, yes, in fact, now that because I never played the tutorials frightfully often, because obviously they're so scripted, so you can't really have a lot of fun with them, so they're more just there, as tutorials in order to teach you how things work. So, yeah, so despite playing the game, 50 million times, I don't have many recollections of playing the tutorials very often. I do remember little bits and bobs, like I think the first one, Moving Rock Raiders, it doesn't have like 3 little strips that are separated by water or lava, and then probably lava because it would light the place better, and then you sort of move one guy along one little path which is just terrain, and that's fine, and then there's another guy who moves along rubble to show you that that's slow, and another guy who moves along power path to show you that that's faster. I remember that. I vaguely recall that in the Defending Rock Raider HQ it might have given you a walkthrough about the different, hooray, we've got power! It might have given you a little tutorial about the different weapons, like the freezer beam and the pusher beams, and the and the laser beams, and maybe the sonic blaster. One doesn't know. One can't really remember, but I'm sure it doesn't really matter. Presumably there are no dangers in in this level that I would need any fence for. Presumably that is just there to teach you that it's a thing and that's how it works, and stop being daft. What are my remaining objectives? Build 5 electric fences and find and power the docks. That's nice. That's interesting. To complete the level, you need to fulfill the objectives before the air runs out without losing your HQ. Okay. Well, obviously, if your air would run out, that would be bad. And I think, does everybody just get automatically beamed out if you run out of air? I don't know. This might surprise you, but I've not actually been terrible enough at the game to run out of air yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if the remaster campaign tests my ability to maintain that little achievement. We shall see. I guess I could set up the fence now, can I? It's like 1, 2, 3, and a 4 and a 5. That's a brilliant system, that is, because there's no. Well, I guess they couldn't really walk through there because there would be a join there and there would be a join there, but there would be nothing to stop them just standing in the corner and beating this thing to death until it gets beamed up, and then this whole corner of the system would get fried. But here we go. That should set that up. Can I not count, or is there just not a message to say? Nope, there's just not a message. Okay, that's fine. I can live with that. I can live with poor communication. Oh blimey, we can't go this way. Out around the docks, I know that, which is a trifle irritating, but never mind. Maybe it's through here. I kind of lost interest in this cavern. So let's carry on going through here, since this is definitely a new place that we haven't seen before. There's a heck of a drop here as well. Can you see this big dip here? As if there's something much lower. I suppose water does collect a lot lower, so that's marvellous. Right, there is the docks. Now to construct a power station and connect it to the docks by connecting power paths on the ground. Yes, let's have a very ugly long string of power path all the way along here. Not you. I don't want to build power path on your face, mate. That wouldn't serve any ruddy purpose. Okay, well, this is interesting. So we can access this area by blowing up this bit and then walking all the way around. But that's going to take quite some considerable amount of time. But then ferrying stuff across on a hover scale or similar would likewise be a very lengthy, long-winded process that wouldn't serve much purpose. So, there's a very small flying insect around here, which is irritating me greatly. But never mind. If we were playing that New Zealand level, we could build a little bridge here, but if the last few custom levels have taught me anything, particularly that one where you can knock down the we did it and everything. Marvellous. Yes, if the last couple of it's bugging me that that's not connected. If the last couple of custom levels, particularly that one where you knock down the pillars to make the new bridges, has taught me anything, is that custom levels and levels in general seem to be able to have some very interesting little mechanics programmed into them. And indeed the sort of the litany of different objectives that you can have as well is it's nice. It's not just a case of you have to collect X crystals or uncover X rock raiders. there's a lot more flexibility to include weird and wonderful objectives like building buildings, building fence. I'm sure we'll encounter other interesting objectives as we go through as well. So that's good. That's good. That's what the remastered campaign should be doing. And I know, right, like, I'm a bit late to the party, right? I'm a little bit late to the party, given that what the when did the 1.0 version come out? I'm guessing the 1.0 version must have come out after we started doing Basmod, because I remember when we began, there was a slight bug in the game where it wasn't carrying over saves and things, so I wasn't able to carry on with where I was at, which now that I think about it, was that even a genuine or a reasonable criticism to make? Because of course at that point, before the 1.0 came out, we didn't have the different campaigns, we just had the campaign. So I must have been playing the Basmod through that campaign of custom levels that I downloaded, where Basmod was being recreated in Manic Minus, so curious that it then somehow did manage to port in the fact that I completed certain custom levels that had been downloaded and somehow used that in order to... I don't know. I do think that that if it did do that and it somehow measured my progress from custom levels that I completed, I do find that that much more impressive than otherwise. Right, there's a few little bits here that ideally I'd like to drill out, but I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to manage that. So there's a light on my phone which is flashing and it's irritating me slightly. Let me get a shot of that. How am I going to drill these bits? The answer to that is I'm going to need a rapid rider, and bringing it down here isn't going to serve me very well unless I then also got a tunnel transport in order to ship it over here, but I think that would be a rather daft investment. So much as I'm rather good at making daft investments, which is why my portfolio isn't... hang on. Is that land not flat? That land isn't flat enough, is it? Right, okay, so we need to cancel that before it starts looking daft. There we go. Let's try this again and pop that to that. What? Oh. Alright, I'm putting the cart before the horse, or the docks before the power path, which I'm sure will become the replacement for that phrase in the 21st century. Right, there we are. Even though we're already more of a quarter of the way through the 21st century, which is worrying. But never mind, never mind. Maybe none of us will get to see the end of the 21st century. The way the world's going, that seems more and more likely as the days go by. But never mind. We're not here to dwell on the we're not here to dwell on the bleak. We're just here to observe my bleak progress. So is that the end of this? Probably, yeah, because there's solid rock behind there. So nothing more on this side by the looks of things. There we go. Yeah, so a few little bits to drill here, and then something interesting over here. Okay, let's. I'm sure somebody else will be able to manage that by taking a piece of ore which is like right next to the docks, rather than your piece which is about 17 nautical miles away. And that's not even a pun on the fact that we're building a docks. Right. We want to build a rapid rider, please. Yes, indeed. There we go. And we should put somebody in it. Where is Bandit? Where is his little mischievous face gone? Oh, there you are. Right. Come here. Yes, indeed. Marvellous. I'm glad to see I've been promoted from ship's fool, presumably the rank that I had previously. Right, you can get rid of that and focus on that for the time being. And then for thematic appropriateness, we'll put the old sea dog in his craft and see if we can upgrade it, put some little drills on the front, and see if we can drop some more down. Just have a little drill, please. There we are. Very nice indeed. Okay, let's do a little bit of driving. I like the little eyes, the little lights go out. They look like little eyes of an insect with those little funny stalks. That's cute. Reminds me of like a little old sports car with the lights that will pop up. It's not quite the same concept, but it's sort of cute. How am I gonna get that crystal? With difficulty. Right. Could I pick up that one? It's right at the edge. Come on. Give. There we are. Hooray. Huzzah. There we are. Yeah, this is nice. I like that. Right. I can't quite reach that. Right. Can I end up in the wrong place? Yes, I can. Right. Can I... Oh, yeah, it's marvellous. Can I do this without tripping over any spiders? The answer to that question is no. Seemingly, the first. Oh, that actually worked. I didn't expect that to. Seemingly, the first spider actually got whacked by the. Am I actually close enough to get back in that damn thing? I don't think I am. I don't think I am. Oh no! Oh no! Forgive me. I nearly died of my own stupidity. Right. What we've learned is that a man cannot long jump as far as a man can be catapulted by the inertia of his rapid rider. So what we've also learned is that Phil is a freaking idiot. But Bandit, when I am not in possession of his brain, is far more capable than I am. No frickin' surprises there. Right, can I have that, please? There we are. Let's do this in first person. I don't do a lot of first person with this, so this is kind of cute. There we are. Then we'll go. I don't want to upgrade. I just want to unload my. I just want to unload my stuff. How do I do that? I don't remember. I'll just let him do it. I'll just let him do it. I'm sure he knows what he's doing far better than I do, and I've missed some walls though. Anyway, clearly I'm a little bit of a doofus, but we won't worry about that, because goodness knows if I worried about every single time that I was a doofus, I'd spend literally nothing. I spend all of my time doing nothing else. So never mind. Right, let's get Bandit out on this side of the river. And I said, let's get Bandit out on this side of
What would you do with that piece of
the door. What will we do with the grumpy captain? What will we do with the grumpy captain? What will we do with the grumpy captain? Get out on the right side of the river. The lyrics don't scan, but they're accurate, so who gives a damn? Blimey. Oh, okay. Coming this way is actually necessary because there's no way through from this side. Okay, I like that. So it seems like the levels, at least the two that we've done, they introduce a little mechanic, like, you know, powering the docks, for example. They don't go quite as far or be quite as explicit as to say, okay, well now you need to get a rapid rider and you need to take it over here and really way through here. It seems like there are a few little extra objectives, or rather a few little extra areas you can explore once you've completed your main objectives, which allow you to explore the game mechanics a little bit further and learn a little bit more about how the game functions beyond the essential fundamentals which it is trying to teach you. I'm terribly sorry. I was very selfish, and I decided to have my tea before I recorded so that I wouldn't be hungry, even though every single time I eat a volume of food and then whitter on for an indeterminate amount of time, it always brings on the hiccups. But never mind. Right. Is there anything more interesting than a lot of ore seams here? Because the answer to that question would appear to be no, which is a tad of a shame, because yes, as I've said in a presumably vaguely recent video, though mind you, these videos are so far apart, you know, even the last video can seem like a lifetime ago. Also just realised I'm drilling out the wrong one, aren't I? Because that one would make both of these fall down. Yeah, the ore seams are not rightfully valuable. I imagine they're valuable in a level like, is it I Spy? I think it's I Spy, isn't it? Where you start in, it's definitely in a nice level. You're starting in a kind of dip, and then there's just like four individual tiles of wall around you that you can drill through. without there being, you know, any larger expanses of rock. Look at all this bloody ore, for crying out loud. Yeah, there, having an ore seam is more useful because there's limited numbers of walls, so having the extra few bits of ore there so that you can upgrade your buildings and get your electric fence down that much faster, I imagine is quite useful, but otherwise it's not overly important unless they're going to start introducing some necessity to have studs, which are another bit of the original game, which was always a little bit underutilized in my opinion. I mean, of course you can utilize it by using it to make your building construction more efficient, but the problem with that really is that once you've got to this point, you're probably relatively advanced. I suppose where it would come in most useful would be one of two situations. One, either you've got a lot of vehicles and you want to do a lot of upgrades, particularly a lot of large vehicles like granite grinders. There's only 2 G's in there and I'm already struggling. Or chrome crushers and that sort of thing. Oh, that was interesting. You can't really see this because of my big flapping pie hole, and I sincerely apologise for that. But in the little menu which comes up at the top, there's the drill wall button, which you can either click on and then the little menu goes away, or there's a little plus next to it, which oh, here we are. You get different messages. So just drilling over just hovering over the main part of the icon says command drill wall, and then the little plus says command send additional miners to drill this wall, brackets doesn't close this window. Interesting. So I could then say like send 4 people to do it if it was like a seam and I wanted it drilled out really quickly. That's cute. I don't think I've ever actually noticed that before. I think I just sort of misclicked before and clicked on the little plus by accident, which is nice. Interesting to know that even after all these years I can still be making little discoveries. That's kind of cute. Alright, I think that is about everything. It's my goodness gracious me. It's like a slimy slug has snotted all over the show. Are there any walls that I have missed, or have we been and done pretty much everything? Nope, I reckon we are about done. Isn't that marvellous? Yes, I'm not seeing any crystals that we've missed, so isn't that all just lovely and fine? I like this. This is a nicer way of doing the level because it actually forces you to make use of the power instead of demonstrate why the power is important, because you need to bring down vehicles, you need to defend your base, and that sort of thing. I don't know if it perhaps would have made more sense to have the docks here and then maybe block this off so that you then have to work your way around more substantially before you find the docks, and then the docks is in a more logical place to then bring down a Rapid Rider. I don't know many things, but there's no breakdancing spiders this time around, so I think we can just leave. We'll leave the ore there so that the monsters aren't deprived of their
Good work! You successfully constructed that power station. Mission complete.
So they aren't deprived of their little Maltesers. Right, that's all perfectly marvellous.
It's a hold-up.
Indeed, and thankfully not the type that happens in a bank.
A breath of fresh air.
Which also probably doesn't happen in a bank, because they typically don't have large open windows for the previously mentioned hold-up reasons. Right, let's do this, I suppose.
Trouble. A new cavern has been found, but the area is very unstable. The cavern floor is covered with fallen rocks and boulders. We must establish Rock Raider HQ and begin our mining operation. But first, we must reinforce the walls and clear the debris from the floor. Once the cavern is secure, continue our mining operation by collecting 5 energy crystals.
Oh, that's interesting. Sorry, I've just realised something I've never even noticed before, but he says He says debris rather than debris, which is interesting. I think debris is the American pronunciation versus debris is possibly the English pronunciation, which is fascinating. I've actually got no idea what origin the company that made this game actually has. I've actually got no idea where they're from. Find some ore to construct a tool store, then put together a team to secure the cavern. Once the... I'm sorry, why do I need ore to construct a tool store? Because A, the tool store doesn't need anything to construct it. It beams down for free, so long as you've got a piece of power pole to connect it to. And 2, you're going to give me a tool store when I start anyway. Aren't you? Aren't you? Aren't you? I have no idea, but we'll find out in a moment when I press the button. Once the cavern is secure, continue our mining operation by cleaning up the... Oh, interesting. So there's not a crystal requirement this time around? Oh, that's why you want that. Ah, okay. And no shovels. No. Okay. Okay. Somebody's playing a little bit of a game with Phil here. That's cute. I like that. I don't know what incarnation you two are wandering over there in the aim of. Maybe you could go over there and help your friend who's got 2 highly bruised buttocks. But other than that, I want them to be geologist as well. That's nice, isn't it? Okay. Goodness, they weren't lying when they I don't know who they are, but they weren't lying when they said blimey. They probably didn't say that because, you know, only I'm daft enough to say such things in this day and age. When they said it forces you to change how you play the game, that is a very fundamental change. I mean, every single level started with giving you a tool store, so that's a very interesting change to make. That's a very fundamental change and a very curious one. I like it. It is interesting. Let's see if we can get another piece of ore and bring down our tool store before any more people die of severe brain damage due to having large pieces of rock fall on their bonks. Okay, hooray, good. We found a couple of pieces of ore. That's more than good enough for me. Oh, goodness. That's quite a nice little way of doing this. I think it's sort of trying to frame it like a waterfall, which is quite cute, as if it's just sort of coming out of like a break in the rock here, and it's all sort of flowing down. That's quite cute. I like that. That's pretty. Okay, right. Let's bring down this. There we go, and then people can start getting shovels, and I'm gonna bring down some more peeps, can't we? Down 7 peeps. By which I do not refer to 7 small American sweets. I mean, I suppose they're not really sweets, are they? Would you classify a marshmallow as a sweet? There we go. There's an interesting debate for you to have. Is a marshmallow a sweet? I mean, how do you define a sweet? I mean, this is not what we're here to talk about, Phil. Come on. I know you're tired and hungry, but there's no reason to start talking absolute rubbish, except that's what I'm doing all the video. Right, anyway. Okay, so my objective is to clear the bottle. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's never been an objective before. I've never even seen that in a custom model. I like that. That's interesting because it feeds in well to the. It feeds in well to the mission statement, I suppose, for want of a better term. So I like that. I suppose the ultimate goal of us being in any cavern is to collect crystals, but it's nice to step away from that a little bit. As much as it is key and fundamental, it's nice to explore other options. It brings in a little variety, which is lovely. Okay, I definitely want a canteen. I don't know as I need much else. Maybe we'll find places where we need a vehicle, like for getting across here, for example. We might be able to come down across here. We might be able to make something like that work, but to reinforce these as well while we're here, actually. Otherwise, people are going to get hurt. Yeah, we might need some vehicles, but for the time being, I reckon a canteen will be sufficient, because that should keep people alive, should keep people well fed. So we shouldn't have to worry too much about anything else. Good, I have fully upgraded that, so we can break a few things down as well. I wonder how it's going to measure securing the cavern walls. Is that... because obviously it's referring to landslides occurring. So does it mean that perhaps every piece of wall which could landslide needs to be A, destroyed, or B, reinforced? One or the other, because presumably it can't just be reinforcements, otherwise you might break down the walls without reinforcing them, and then you wouldn't be able to reinforce them because they wouldn't exist anymore, and then that would sort of leave you in a bit of a dead end with respect to trying to finish the level. But I imagine they've been smart and thought of people being daft, specifically me being daft. People like me being daft, I should say. So I imagine they've thought ahead for things like that. Is this what the level looked like before? I don't think it did. Is this... I don't have particularly distinct memories of the... I don't have particularly distinct memories of the earliest levels in the campaign, because sometimes what I would do is, just start the game again, like a fresh campaign, and just go from start to finish. But more often what I was doing, if I was just sort of dipping in to play for a little while, rather than a more extended campaign of game playing, I would just pick out an individual level which I wanted to play, and then I'd just play that one from a previous save where all the levels had already been completed. Which would normally be something like, I don't know, Air Raiders or Rocky Horror, or no, probably mostly just those two, because all the others were, ever so slightly too difficult. Blimey, you best go home and have a sandwich, mate. Yeah. So larger levels like that, I probably played an awful lot more than, little levels like this, which you only needed 5 or so crystals in order to get to the end, so the whole thing could be over in 5 or 6 minutes. So, yeah, I don't remember these ones quite as well, but I do seem to remember, and I might be getting it muddled with another one, so I apologise if I am, but wasn't this the one where it went down a long kind of corridor which had walls on both sides which would landslide down into the valley, making it very dangerous to traverse if you didn't drill them out or reinforce as you went along, and there was like a little decline in the terrain, and then it would open up into a wider cavern at the other end? Is that one? Is that this one? Or am I getting confused? I don't know, but I'm old and my brain is rather fried from being alive, so that's unfortunate to be the reality of the day. But never mind. What matters is that we've got an interesting new layout to play, which is good, because if I remember correctly, the Basmod campaign took the tactic of keeping the basis of the level the same, but then adding in extra stuff around, which added to sort of what you could explore and what you could do. Probably a bit more similar to what we've seen in the last two levels, where the sort of the main starting point seemed mostly the same, but then the exterior, or the outermost reaches, I suppose I should learn to speak the English language before I started this video, but I didn't bother. Yes, the first two levels that we saw seemed that she saw on the seashore. She sold her seashells on the seashore. seemed as if the basis of the level was staying the same. They were adding more extra stuff around the exterior, while this seems a little bit more like they're just sort of reimagining the level a little bit more fully, unless I'm misremembering how this one worked. But I don't know. This sort of layout here of having this bit sort of scoot up and then come back down reminds me almost a little bit more of... Is it Explosive Action? The one where you have to rescue the little truck, which is, or recover, I should probably say, rather than anthropomorphizing. Recover the little truck which has got, which has been left behind. Right, I need to blow up some of this stuff, and that's not going to be frightfully easy because there's a lot of foot traffic in this area. I don't need to blow up those bits, I could drill those bits. Otherwise, I reckon I'm just going to have to chuck dynamite a boot and say it's hell with the consequences. They do seem pretty good at getting out of the way of the dynamite, which is certainly an improvement on how they used to do back in the olden days. Especially their ability to pick up dynamite and then carry on with their journey, which might seem like a basic, simple, fundamental thing, but if you're not familiar with the pathfinding, I guess I'll call it, for want of trying to avoid a term.
An energy crystal has been found.
That was programmed into it back in 1999. They if they dropped a piece of dynamite and it fell on the floor, it was sort of tainted at that point. You know, in the same way that if you had like a lovely piece of ham and you dropped it on the floor, you probably wouldn't want to eat it afterwards. They if they dropped a piece of dynamite on the floor without it going off, they would not be very eager to pick it up and carry on with their business, which is a bit of a shame. It did cause some problems back in the day. No, I've just realised how hesitant I am, because what we would have said, you know, a couple of years ago, maybe what people still are saying, I don't know, I try not to listen to other people for the most part, because they only say things like, Phil, you're an idiot, and Phil, shut up, so, you know, I try not to listen as much as I can. But, no, of course, you know, any number of years ago, we probably would have just said the AI of the, oh, nice. I don't really know how I did that, but you know, marvellous. I guess there's little rubble here, and most of the walls, at least most of the accessible ones, are have been reinforced, and there's no record of other ones landsliding. So that's marvellous. I didn't really mean to do that. There we are. But no, of course, in this day and age, the term AI has taken a rather different form, doesn't it? Or different definition, I suppose I should say, different sort of purposes, rather than the more simple algorithmic things it used to do, like you know, like pathfinding in video games and things like that, which is a bit of a shame. I suppose we now need to find a different word for that, or not be bothered. I don't know if I've tested this before. I feel like maybe I have, but I want to run a little experiment. I want 2 pieces of dynamite, please, and then I want someone who, no, come here, you. I want someone who's almost as daft as I am, so that we can perform a little test, a little experiment, if you like. Drop that there. And then, leave that alone. Stop it. I want to perform a little experiment. I don't think I'm going to actually get a chance to perform my little experiment. I might have to beam everybody else up in order to do this. But what I want to do, essentially, is set off a piece of dynamite next to another piece of dynamite and see if it blows up. You're not helping, dude. You're not helping. Right. Yes, you are. Busy being possessed by the spirit of a very daft man. No, when we're ready to finish the level, I'll beam everybody else up and then we'll try this. Essentially what I want to do is have a piece of dynamite on the floor, then put a second piece of dynamite next to it, set the second piece to prime, and blow up, and I want to see if that sets off the second piece. I have a vague recollection that it can do that, because I feel like I saw... Was it when we were doing one of the versions of Rocky Horror, maybe? That rings a bell somewhere in the back of my dusty brain. That, yeah, I think maybe 2 people were carrying dynamite quite close to each other. One put a piece of dynamite down to blow up a wall, the other one dropped his in order to run away, and then it set off the second piece of dynamite. I wonder if that might have been where I've got this idea that you can set off a kind of chain reaction of different pieces of dynamite. That gives me an even more interesting idea. I wonder if I like made a long line of dynamite along a strip. I could like create a kind of domino effect by eating too much pizza and then feeling sick in the morning. No, I mean setting off one piece of dynamite and then just causing a chain reaction of explosions. That sounds like something that's worth exploring, if for no other reason than just to be a bit daft. So yeah, when we're finished with the rest of the level, I'll beam everybody up apart from one person, and then we'll do a little bit of experimentation and see precisely what happens. I'll beam everybody else up apart from me, because I feel like it's only fair to put myself in that form of daft, unnecessary danger. We're not doing too bad. It looks like we've got pretty much all the rubble cleared. There's an amount of ore we haven't collected, and I could collect it, but it would mostly just be 10 minutes of me sitting here not really doing nothing, unless I brought down a load of trucks, and I can't be arsed all that. So I don't really wish to bore you all to death, despite evidence to the contrary of everything else I've ever put up on this website. But no, I'm actually not trying to bore you all to death. I'm not sure what I am trying to do, but I'm not trying to do that. So, yeah. Let's just see what's under here, and then we'll start getting rid of some folks. Okay, right. Let's get rid of some peeps. Let's send them back to the LMS Explorer for nice sleep. Okay, I'll get rid of you, and get rid of you, and get rid of you. There we go. I also want you to go home. We are nice and safe away from all of the boom boxes. There we go, and get rid of you as well. So everybody, yes, it is marvelous. Right, okay. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can't cause ourselves a little bit of chaos. Okay, I want to drop, let's say, 4 pieces of dynamite. There we go. Now I must be very careful not to press E on anything. So how am I going to do this? To put that on there. Yeah, fine, whatever. That'll do. I need them to be close enough that they'll actually affect one another, but not too close. I should be alright about a tile away. Maybe a little bit closer than that. Maybe they need to be a little bit closer than that. Let me move this one up a little bit. Here we go. The sensible thing to do would be to test this first with 2 pieces of dynamite and then progress to the longer test of 4 pieces of dynamite. But that would spoil some of the fun. So there we are. That's silly. Okay, right. Let's see what happens. So yelling now. Okay, I like that. Thank you. You've done enough screaming on this channel as it is. We don't need any more of it from you, mate. Okay, that's cute. I like that. You can set up a little chain reaction. I don't really know what possible purpose that could serve, but not that. Stop it. I'd like to see somebody much smarter than I am set up some kind of very clever chain reaction, which then sort of battles a monster or something. That would be cute. I'd like to see what people could do with that. People who have actually got brains, as opposed to me. Right. Let me just whack the floor with my with my shovel here. Right. Marvelous. Tremendous. Okay, that's cute. I like that. I'm 95% sure the layout of the level is completely different, but I don't mind. Okay, right. I think we've caused enough chaos. Let's get out of here.
The cavern was secured and all 5 energy crystals were collected. Good work. Mission complete.
Indeed. Huzzah! Hooray! Brilliant. Okie dokie. What have we got? What have we got else?
Explosive action.
Yes, there's the one with the little a little digger. Sorry, not little truck.
Action.
And then these two as well. Right, marvelous, excellent. That was a nice little start, wasn't it? I rather enjoyed that. Yes, these things we previously spoke of. Alrighty then, that was good fun. I enjoyed that. That was a nice little beginning and a nice little easy introduction into the remaster campaign. So yes, it looks very promising. It seems to be introducing the mechanics quite nicely and quite intuitively, which is nice, and also giving you the opportunity to explore a little bit further and discover some things on your own without too much hand holding, which is lovely. And I look forward to seeing what else it has in store. I imagine it's going to start quite gently, and then it might ramp things up a little bit, and I might have to scratch my head a tad as we go along, which is something to look forward to. That's better. Right. That was the start of the remaster campaign. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll probably be here for a long time, but we'll get there. And what is that? That is not a vehicle. The sound of it very much reminds me of Lego Racers 2. Specifically Life on Mars? The Life on Mars bit? Maybe it's one of those aircraft? Certainly had lots of flying bits in it. Anyway, that hardly matters. It isn't important. It might as well get on with our lives, might we? Anyway, I'll stop taking up more of your life and get on with my own, shall I? So, thank you very much for joining me this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. It strikes me it's actually been about 3 weeks since I've actually recorded anything. What the hell do I say at this point? Thank you very much for joining me this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Look after each other and good night. Does that sound about right? Probably. Anyway, I'm off to bed now because I am exhausted. Good night.